The 1%er Podcast with Sam Bakhtiar, bringing you the 1% knowledge to help you reach your full potential. Learn what it takes to rise above the 99% and become a 1%er.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your host, Sam Bakhtiar, at the 1% Podcast. Today, I'm honored, I am privileged to have Aaron Hallenbeck, my childhood friend from Sharon, Pennsylvania, who is a U.S. Marines veteran, a law enforcement officer, and a childhood friend of mine from the beginning. What's up, Aaron?
Much, sir. How you doing?
I appreciate having you.
Yes, sir. I'm proud to be here today with you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's so crazy that we grew up in the same place.
Yes, sir.
And now we ended up at the same place.
Yes, sir.
Don't you
I
trip
just
about
looked
that?
today, 13 and a half miles apart from each other. That's it.
Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing.
Because we grew up like 3,000 miles away.
Yes, sir.
And to this day, I wonder how we end up like being childhood friends and now you're right next to each other.
I would say some kind of fate. I mean, but
Yeah.
we haven't seen each other, and even though we live this close, it's been rough to get in touch with each other.
We really haven't seen each other till you pulled me over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So tell me really quick, so we met at 11th grade.
Yes, sir.
And we grew up in a very, kind of poverty area.
Yes, sir.
Very, very lower to middle class. It was a lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol, a lot of we saw a lot of crap, right? When I tell people that, they don't know, Sam, really? And now here's the proof. Somebody who grew up with me, can come in and tell that, we come from Sharon, Pennsylvania, especially when I moved there, it's like, 1985, in the middle of crack cocaine epidemic.
Yes,
all
sir.
the steel mills were getting shut down, and we met in 11th grade. What is some of your childhood memories of me?
Of Sam. So when I moved to Sharon, I had come up from Baltimore. And I was a skateboarder. I was riding amateurly skateboards. And in Sharon, if you didn't play football or wrestle, you were not one of the cool kids.
Yeah.
So I was an outsider. I was a skateboarder, had the little Tony Hawk haircut. And I met Sam. And Sam had a little Volkswagen. It was either a GTI or a Golf.
Yeah, that was my Volkswagen GTI. It was my dream car that I literally worked after school from like 3 o'clock till 9 o'clock at my uncle's, 7-Eleven in the hood.
Yes, sir.
And then, it wasn't 7-Eleven, but it was like a version of 7-Eleven, right? That's because that's what Middle Easterns do when they come to the United States.
Yes,
my
sir.
uncle had a store. And then on the weekends, I would drive to Wilmington, California, and I would work at a cheese factory.
Wilmington, Pennsylvania.
Huh?
Wilmington, Pennsylvania.
Yes, Wilmington, Pennsylvania. Yes, Wilmington, Pennsylvania. And I worked with like the Amish with a cheese factory. And at the time, the minimum wage was $3.35 an hour.
Yes, sir.
You remember that?
Yes,
and
sir.
I know I was getting like 20 hours a week there, so I was able to, afford that Volkswagen GTI, which was my dream car. It was a 1983 Volkswagen GTI with black, exterior and
Yes, sir.
red interior, which is still my favorite color.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so Sam took me under his wing and befriended me. And I remember going up to his house one time on the West Hill.
Now let's talk about the West Hill, man.
West Hill. So Sharon is a valley. The West Hill is gigantic. I mean, it's pretty much straight up. And at the bottom of the hill would be Sharon proper, the city. Mm-hmm. And there's some pretty famous things down there.
Yeah.
Ryer Shoe Store, world's largest shoe store.
That's what they claim, though. I
don't believe it.
It's so funny because they said, Ryer's back then, we believed it because we were from Sharon, right? Oh, it's the largest shoe store. I don't think that, when I come to California, I see shoe stores bigger than that. So they claim a lot of things. I'm not sure if it's right, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. And then they had a thing called 3 by the River.
Yeah.
The very first Quaker Steak and Lube. Mm-hmm. Sharon has a bunch of little things. Like their claim to fame would have been at Quaker Steak and Lube. Won the wing cook-off like 5 times in the United States.
They do have some good wings, though.
Amazing
man.
wings.
I'm telling you, Sharon has good bar food because everybody, all they do, work at the steel mill.
And go to the bar.
Go to the bar, eat and watch football.
And unlike California, it's different. There's corner bars.
Yep.
And in your neighborhood, you would have your corner bar. And like Sam was just saying, these still workers, when they're not at work, they would be at the bar. And they would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the bar. And drink Yingling.
I remember that.
Yingling. It's an old Pennsylvania beer. And so this one time, we were to get onto how Sam got to where he is today. Like, he had bought this machine. It was like a Bowflex called a Solo Flex.
Oh God! Now I don't even know people that are watching this to understand that. Solo Flex was like way back. Go ahead. Solo Flex is like you guys Google Solo Flex, like you guys know, because nobody I don't think in this day and age know what that is. But it was like a workout machine.
And it worked off of resistance on rubber band type equipment. Different rubber bands gave different resistance, and it was a full machine. It had
pull downs,
flies,
chest,
you do everything on it. Complete workout, and it was the technology of the time to have in your home. And Sam told me at that time, I still to this day I remember this, that he was going to make it in the fitness community. And this is in 11th grade. The drive that this man had back then. To make it as far as he's made it in this world, and pretty much started in Sharon, Pennsylvania.
What did I tell you? I don't even remember.
That you wanted to be an all-natural bodybuilder and compete in competitions, and that you wanted to make a living in the fitness world and help other people live their dreams and become fit as well.
So let me real quick. First of all, I want to be transparent because I don't, I'm very transparent with everybody. I told you, I never wanted to take, steroids.
Steroids
I never
or
wanted to take steroids.
Supplements, okay. You wanted to do dietitian. You wanted to eat proper, and also train people how to eat properly. Good carbs, good sugars, good fats, good proteins, and which in turn helps you build your physique the way that you want to build your physique. You knew this back in 11th grade.
Absolutely, man. I preached that, and I was natural up until college.
Yeah.
Up until college, I'm like, when I was getting to compete and I did my first competition, I was like, man, I can't stack up with these guys. That's when I did my first cycle of anabolic steroids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And after that, man, I did it towards my, bodybuilding career. But then at 2005, I'm like, this is enough. I know to start a family. I stopped, but just for transparency, you know what I mean. I did use anabolic steroids one of my bodybuilding days, but for me, it was all about the foundation.
It was,
you know what I mean? Because here's what a lot of people do. Aaron, I know a lot of guys. They say they're all natural, but they take a bunch of shit. But they don't look like they even take stuff because they don't eat right, they don't train right. Anabolic steroids by itself, you can take all kinds of stuff, but if you don't train right, it's not a magic thing, right? You still got to train right. You still got to, anabolic steroids just give you that edge when you're bodybuilding. Now, for those of you who are listening to this, I'm 100% against using anabolic steroids if you don't have to. If you're not competing at the upper level of bodybuilding, which is accepted.
Yes.
If you're competing at an organization who you're not is all natural and you're supposed to do that, I will not do that. However, you know what I mean? If you're competing at the highest level like an NPC or IFBB and you need to do that to be able to make a living, then you have to do what you have to do. It's your choice.
Yes, sir.
That's where I stand on anabolic steroids. However, working out consistently and eating good consistently is something that you got to do all the time. Monitoring your health is something that you have to do all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's go back, man. At that time, what did we do back there for fun? You remember? You remember those days?
State Street. We'd go to football Friday nights.
Yeah.
Right? We'd all go to football and watch Sharon Tigers play football. And after the games on the weekends, everybody would go cruise between Taco Bell and McDonald's parking lot.
Oh my God.
And it was like a car show every weekend.
Yeah, we would just go back and forth, Taco Bell, McDonald's, maybe Eden Park a little bit.
Eden Park,
Eden Park a little bit. And we just go in there, the girls were outside and the guys were outside showing their cars. And it was like a car show. It was that's what we did for fun.
But part of that was our drinking career. We all used to drink beer back then. We would drink beer on Friday and Saturday nights. There was always a house party somewhere that we could attend.
We used to ride around drinking back then.
We did. We did.
I don't know what you drank, but I drank that. I was in the malt liquor. I was trying to be a gangster rap NWA.
Drinking your Power Master and your.
I was drinking Old English. I was drinking Colt 45, Sand Eyes. Man, I was drinking Mad Dog 2020.
That's because you were a little gangster, Sam.
Oh yeah.
I remember listening.
I was a wankster.
Too short in your Volkswagen.
My Volkswagen. I had a stereo system in my Volkswagen that actually cost more than my fucking Volkswagen.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
remember that? You had a boom box, boom, boom.
And how did we all get that stuff back then? We'd go to one of the little stereo shops and finance it.
Yeah, man.
Paying interest rates through the roof.
Let me tell you how I got mine. So, I financed the Volkswagen. I think Volkswagen was like $3,100 or something like that. I financed it was like, $200 a month or something like that. I was paying the $150, $200 a month. And my uncle, I asked my uncle, I want to get like a little stereo for I said a little stereo for my, for my Volkswagen. Can I go there? I drove to Youngstown. Youngstown Youngstown, Ohio it doesn't get more hood than that.
No, sir.
You know what I mean? So I went to a stereo shop in Youngstown, and I bought $2,000 worth of stereo equipment on his credit card. Nobody ever asked me, is this your credit card, anything like that? So I came back, boom, boom, trunk rattling.
Yes,
I was trying to be a gangster, but I think 50 Cent calls it a wankster. I was trying to be a wankster.
A wankster.
It was some good old days, man.
It was.
So really quick, when I told you I was going to make it in the fitness industry at 11th grade, I was like a little scrawny, guy, was working out, was doing my thing. At the time, and be honest with me, Aaron, at the time, did you ever think I would make it? Honestly, we were like, yeah, right, Sam, you ain't gonna make me do it.
Being that we came from where we came, we never believed anything. I mean, there was no famous people. Nobody made it out of Sharon. Like if you were from the Shenango Valley, you stayed in the Shenango Valley.
I remember mindset back then is like, everybody doubted you. Everybody's like, yeah, right. Nobody ever believed in anything over there. When you tell them, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yeah, right. Because they've been beaten up in life so bad, and they couldn't believe anything. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I know I didn't. All people back then did was sit on the front porch, talk shit about each other, and put each other down because they felt bad about where they are in life. And look at us, we got out. So after high school, we kind of lost contact.
Yes.
Right? And I know you went to the Marine Corps.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So tell me about your Marine Corps. Tell me, and thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, anytime,
thank you
sir.
for your service. I wholeheartedly, love, the men and women of our U.S., Army and, the Marines, all the branches.
Yes, sir.
Look, here's what I love about America. I come from Iran.
Yes, sir.
When they say we're at war, you're at fucking war because you hear gunshots.
Well, and Iran's always at some kind of conflict. Throughout history, they have.
Oh man, they just can't get their shit together. Bottom line. Middle East, they just, they want to fight about everything. I don't even have the energy these days. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, you guys fight. But the point I'm trying to make is a lot of times when I was going to college and I was going to grad school, I don't watch TV. I don't play. I just focus on what I have to do. So I would talk to my clients when I was doing personal training. They're like, Sam, we're at war. We're at war with Iraq. We're at war with this. We're at war with that. I'm like, we are? I don't hear gunshots. I don't hear plane flying over my head. Nobody's dropping bombs on me.
Yes, sir.
You know why? Because the men and women of service, because the United States have created such an amazing force that protects us from that kind of stuff. In a way, we're like spoiled kids.
Yes, sir.
Right? We're spoiled kids. We're protected.
Well, speaking of the war, I remember when we were seniors in '91, the first Gulf War broke out.
Yes.
I remember when they first, because my birthday's in January, and the war started in January. I was at the Buell Club playing in a basketball tournament.
That Buell Club is where my bodybuilding started.
Yes, sir. I remember.
That's where I fell in love. When I tell people I went to the, to get better at basketball, and I went to that little room upstairs, the little weight room upstairs.
The weight room, yes, sir.
That's where my bodybuilding career started.
Because you would be up there, my cousin Rich Dye would be up there. We would see Michael Labiento up there and Mark Donardo, like the guys that were passionate about bodybuilding when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And the Buell Club was our gym. Everything. It had a pool. It had a weight room. It had a basketball court,
ping pong,
everything.
Pool table.
It had everything. And
for like $20 a year.
For $20, amazing. Because to understand Sharon, the Buells pretty much founded all of Sharon. And when the Buells passed away,
they had like a foundation.
They had a foundation to keep the Buell Park open, which was a beautiful park. The Buell Club for the young men and women of the town.
Now there's a Buell Mansion that they make it as a spa or something.
And my aunt and uncle used to own the Buell Mansion. Rich Die's dad.
Okay.
They owned the Buell Mansion. That's where Rich and them lived growing up. But they started a beauty academy in there. And then the National Historic Society came and took it away from them. And now it's a national landmark.
Wow.
But the Buells did a lot for the town of Sharon, as well as now the Winners. If you don't know what the club is, the steering wheel lock for the car was invented in Sam and mine's hometown.
Look it up, the club.
The club, it's a steering wheel lock.
Is an old school mount you put on the cars like this.
Yep.
And so people cannot, if a thief can't steal your car.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? The only way they can do it is take the steering wheel out and put another steering wheel in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So there has been people with drive in our town, but very few and far between. And I totally forgot where we were going with all this.
So when you went to Marines, right?
Yes.
I was thanking you for your service, and everything else like that. And I know that part of the service that you went to, you served for like 10 years, I believe, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
10
sir.
years as a Marine. Like I said, I can't thank you of the men and women, of service enough, And I know. Tell me about your experience, because I know that you suffer from PTSD a little bit. I know
Yes, sir.
you have some. You have fought some demons, and I've talked to a lot of, former men and women of service, and veterans, and you guys go through, when somebody says, hey, I'm a warrior, I'm like, are you really a warrior? Just because you get in the boxing ring, you're not a fucking warrior.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like you're a warrior when you got plane and you got shot and you get your buddy's head gets blown away right next to you. Tell me some of the stuff that you experienced, because it's fascinating.
So I went into I enlisted in 1993. I worked odd and end jobs from 91 till 93 in Sharon. I worked at the Domino's. I became an assistant manager. I worked at Giant Eagle grocery store.
So I stop at Domino's really quick. Tell me what happened when you had to deliver pizza, like in the worst part in the worst part of towns. Because we, like I said, where we grew up, it's fucking rough. People don't understand. Like, it's fucking rough. You get mug shot and everything. When I tell people outside of my uncle's store was pimps, prostitutes, and drug dealers all the time. Our whole street was. People don't believe me.
So Sharon is like a bunch of little towns around it as well. Hickory, Hermitage, Farrell. Farrell was all projects. It was government housing. I remember when I first moved to Sharon from Baltimore, the first thing I heard was that 5 killed in a drive-by shooting in Farrell. So fast forward now, we graduated high school. I chose not to go to college after we went. Me and Sam were in all the college prep classes and all the advanced academic classes, and I was going to go to college, and then something changed my mind. Our senior year, when like Mark DiNardo and those guys went to Clarion, and we would go up to Clarion and party with them on the
Clarion
weekends.
has some big jocks there, man.
Big jocks and big parties.
Yep.
I would go up and party with them guys, and I'd go to these frat parties, and I was a senior in high school, and I'd pay $3 a drink from the keg all night. Same $3 that Mark's paying to drink from the keg all night, but then he's paying college tuition, room and board, and then I saw what was going on, where people would come back to Sharon after they graduate and not get a job in the field that they chose to get an education in, and they really weren't making it any better for themselves. And at that point, I chose that college was not for me, and I went to the school of hard knocks. I went in the Marine Corps. I went to Parris Island, South Carolina, graduated from there, went on to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, another Marine base, where we did, back then, the Marine Corps has changed a little bit now. Back then, we had to go through Marine combat training, so every Marine is a rifleman. Mm-hmm. From the lowest level on, you're taught how to be an infantry fighting personnel, okay? So everybody had to go through basic infantry training. And then I was enlisted as an infantryman. I went in guaranteed to be an infantryman. So after MCT, we went on and we stayed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I went through infantry training battalion, So we spent weeks in the field learning how to fight wars, learning different infantry tactics and maneuvers. And then after that, if you weren't going to be what's called an 0311, a basic rifleman, you could go into a specialized infantry skill. I chose to go in as an 0352, which is a tow gunner, an anti-tank assaultman. TOW stands for Tube Launched Optically Sighted Wire Guided Missile. It was the smart man's infantry. We had Humvees. We didn't have to walk everywhere. And to become a tow gunner, you had to have a certain GT score. So when you take an ASVAB, they break it down, and there's different scores for different things. The GT score is what the Marine Corps pretty much goes off of. And to be a tow gunner, you had to have a 120 or higher GT score. So you were a smart infantryman. My recruiter actually tried to talk me out of going to infantry after I took the ASVAB. He goes, your scores are through the roof. You could do anything in the Marine Corps you want. You could go in intelligence, aircraft maintenance. I go, well, sir, the only thing I know is infantry, and I want to do infantry.
That's what you love to do.
And it's the toughest thing to do in the Marine Corps. So I graduated that, came home, married my first wife. I'm sorry, we got married after boot camp. When I came home from boot camp, I got married to my first wife, who graduated high school with us. So then I went down to that school. Then I got done with all the training.
So when did you ever get deployed? Did you go and actually, did you fuck up some tanks?
So I'll get to that for you.
Okay.
So now I got done with schooling, and I got stationed in Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
My first duty station was Okinawa, Japan. I was with 4th Regimental TOWs, so 4th Marine Regiment and the TOW platoon. Big TOW platoon. So it was a whole platoon of just anti-tank weapons. So I checked into the island, and we were going to be there. It's a year duty station for overseas permanent personnel. When I checked in, the reconnaissance unit needed Marines that were going to be on the island for a long time. Recon is special forces. I was asked if I would try out, so I went and did the workup, did the INDOC, the indoctrination program, passed the INDOC, went through what's called RIP, Recon Indoctrination Program, and stayed with Recon in Okinawa. And I wound up extending, and I stayed in Okinawa for 2 years. And my first wife came to Okinawa with me. She worked on the base. We lived out in town. I had some cool little cars over there. I had a 1984 Trueno.
Nice.
The Panda. I had an A85 Panda over there.
Nice.
In
Japan?
I loved it. I had that car over there. Right side drive. Did KYB suspension all around. Put a brand new Apex motor in it. Momo seats. Momo steering wheel. The cool stuff back in the early 90s, right? Yeah. And before tuner cars were big in America.
Yeah.
And I had a TZR 250 Yamaha motorcycle when I lived in Japan. So I used to rip up and down and all over the island on that thing.
You've always been a motorcycle guy.
Always been into motorcycles.
I was just looking at your Harleys earlier, man. That's fucking amazing.
Thank you, sir. Nothing compared to what you have.
Oh, man, you know what? It doesn't matter what it is. We're like toys.
Yes, sir.
It's you know me. I love the 83 Volkswagen GTI.
And I don't know if you know this, but I have a GTI now. That's what I drive. I have a 2011 GTI. Two-door, because they don't make the two-door anymore. Yeah, and it's got the plaid seats. You know what I mean? And I told my wife this before I bought it. I had an old pickup truck, and I was like, you know what? I've always wanted a GTI since high school. I'm in a position where I can buy one now. I'm getting rid of my truck, and I'm getting a GTI. And I've had that GTI for a while now.
How you like it?
I love my GTI.
Yeah, man. We used to zip around, drink back then, listen to the stereo and all that. Okay, so tell me, did you ever fuck some shit up or don't? You know what I mean?
So fast forward in the Marine Corps, because I left Okinawa, and then I got stationed back at Camp Lejeune with 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines. I checked in. I was with called a CAP platoon, Combined Anti-Armor Platoon. So it would be Humvees with a 50 cal with a Mark 19, and then with a tow missile launcher. I checked in there. We did a workup to go to the Mediterranean for 6 months. It's called a med float. There's always a unit of Marines in the Mediterranean in that campaign area. So we wound up having to leave 2 weeks early. We got ordered by the president that our MU needed to leave 2 weeks early to go to Brazzaville, Congo. because there was a civil war going on in Zaire, and Brazzaville was just across the river. So we staged in Brazzaville, Congo, with the Dutch Army, the British Army, the French Foreign Legion. There was Gurkhas there. And we watched a war going on across the river and waiting for the ambassador, the United States ambassador, to say we needed to come in to do what's called a NEOOP, non-combatant evacuation operation. So anybody that has ties to the U.S., the State Department would have been there with us, confirmed, and then we would evacuate them out of that war zone. Wound up being a peaceful takeover when Laurent Kabila came in and took power from President Mobutu.
Yeah.
And then, and now I've learned that that whole area has changed. Congo and Zaire is all one big country now. It's all changed. So we didn't wind up doing any actual live mission. Our presence there was enough, and we left there. Oh, and while we did that, I got to do something special called Emerald Shellback. It's a Navy tradition. I crossed the prime meridian in the equator 0000 at the exact same time. And it's a big ceremony, so we got to become shellbacks. And I have a tattoo commemorating. It says the date on it right there.
Oh, yeah.
And a Marine friend of mine that was stationed with me at that time, he got out, moved to Florida to become a tattoo artist. We were in Florida visiting some family. I have family in Florida. And got in touch with this young man, and he was like, hey, dude, I'm in a tattoo shop now, and I would love to give you a tattoo. So I went by, and so that tattoo really means something. A Marine that I stationed with gave me that tattoo. And so then we left the Congo, and we started heading up the coast to go to Rota, Spain to do the changeover with the exiting mule. We got to Sierra Leone.
Oh, wow.
That's
where all the blood
diamonds are, the blood diamonds.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just know that because of Kanye West song, man. Oh, yeah, there's a movie about that, too.
And
I saw the movie, yep.
It's called Blood Diamond, isn't it?
Blood Diamond, yep.
I think Leonardo DiCaprio's in it.
Yes, yep.
So we pull up there. Now, their military had become a coup and was trying to overthrow the government. And so we got ordered to do a NEOOP in Freetown, Sierra Leone. So we did a live 3-day mission in Sierra Leone. We'd go back to the boat at night, come back in the morning, and we evacuated several thousand people from Sierra Leone. And actually, no shots were fired, very close to shots being fired with the rebels. We had some encounters with the rebels, but everything turned out okay. So then we went about our business in the Mediterranean. Got to see a lot of things, been to Canary Islands, the Majorcan Islands, Rota, Spain, Barcelona, Valencia, Spain, Tunisia, Africa, Corfu, Greece, Nice, France, Rome, Naples.
Nice. Wow.
Was blessed by Pope John Paul II.
Wow.
Personally blessed by Pope John Paul II at a service at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome.
How did that feel, man?
I'm not Catholic, but to be at the center of Catholicism and be blessed by...
You don't have to be Catholic. You just... You know, the most, the
holiest land,
yes,
like
yes,
right
100%,
for the, and to be blessed by a person that is now a saint in the church, was amazing.
Yes, it's an honor.
So then we came back to the States, and then I chose to re-enlist to stay in the Marine Corps for another tour, and then that time I got stationed up in Quantico, Virginia, closer to home, closer to Baltimore and Pittsburgh, Sharon. And there I worked for the instructor battalion. So I was teaching new lieutenants in the Marine Corps how to be infantry officers and also basic infantry skills. And then I chose to re-enlist another time. Got stationed out here in California finally, where I've always wanted to come. Being an old skateboarder, being an old and so I got stationed at 29 Palms, which is not the best place in the world.
Yeah, but it's in California.
It's a desert. It's
better than Sharon?
Better than Sharon. Not much, but it's better than Sharon. And so we did another, I got stationed with 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion. So the tanks with wheels, the LAVs with the 6 road wheels and the main gun, and I was in that unit. Yeah. So they're infantry fighting vehicles, and LAVs are very useful infantry machines. So did another pump back to Okinawa with them, a 6-month deployment to Okinawa. Came back, was in a rough patch in my life at the time. My dad had been diagnosed with cancer when I was stationed in Quantico, and he was in Florida. So I went down to visit my dad right when he found out. That was the last time I ever seen my dad alive. They had given him 6 months to a year left to live. He made it 2 years. He had that will to survive. He made it. But I got stationed in California, so I didn't have a chance to go visit him anymore. So fast forward, come back from the pump to Okie. We were going to be in the States for 30 days and then go to Egypt for an operation called Bright Star. It's a training mission in Egypt every year. We train with the Egyptian military and over there in the Middle East. And
what a fascinating, you went all over the place.
I've been to a lot of places. So I didn't get to go to Egypt because I was going through a divorce.
Now tell me what happened. Well, I know, as you know, I went through a divorce as well.
Yes, sir.
I'm in my second marriage. Tell me what happened. Do you want to talk about that? What went wrong on your first marriage? And what did you learn from it?
We were young. We were. She was cheating on me all the time.
Okay, so
there was infidelity on her end.
Okay, on her. Did you do anything? Or you were a saint?
I never cheated on her.
Okay.
That was one thing I didn't do was cheat on her.
But you were gone. You were gone.
But I was gone a lot.
You were gone all the time, right?
I was gone a lot.
Not that that's a fucking excuse.
But she cheated on me in our first year of marriage. When I brought her to Japan, and I had to go to Korea for an operation, I come back and the Marines are telling me.
All right, so all right, man. I'm we're friends, man. And I don't care who's listening to this and that. We're friends. Where the fuck did you find her, man? First year of marriage, she cheating on you. Where was she? A stripper? Or
She's
what?
from Sharon.
Oh,
she graduated high school with us.
Wait a second. I know her.
I don't know because I didn't know her until after we graduated.
What's her name?
Her name was.
Come on, you know your ex-wife's name.
No, I can't remember. Nicole Bender.
Why does that name sound familiar?
She used to roam around Mikey Washington, from what I understand.
That's why.
I met her after high school. I used to party over at the Montgomery's house all the time. Sean Montgomery, Brian Montgomery, Devin Montgomery. They used to have big, huge keg parties all the time.
Yeah, man. They were drinking and smoking weed all the time.
And you know that Sean passed away, right?
He did?
The one that graduated high school with us?
I didn't know that.
He drank himself to death.
But those guys were drinking and smoking weed
in high school,
like every day.
Yes.
I remember. Their house was close to Sharon High School.
It was on Baldwin, but way down towards Farrell.
Yeah.
Down the Farrell end. Because I used to be a permanent fixture over there after I graduated high school. But so we met there, and then me and my dad got into a big.
I'm sorry, man. I gotta say, the lesson to be learned here from Aaron, is you can't make a home to a housewife.
Yeah.
I had to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we got married, whatever, long story short. And then she cheated on me, and I decided not to get divorced in that first year. And we were both partying all the time. Yeah. That's what Marines do. Marines drink. We partied a lot over in Okinawa, and like you said, I was deployed a lot. So we came back. She got pregnant when we were in Okinawa, my first child. And I stayed, like I said, 2 years.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it out there, man. Like, look, I don't want to be a dick in the room. Put a dick in the room. So you gone? She was cheating on you all the time. This and that. Is it your kid? You know for sure.
That's crazy that you said that.
No, because I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. I gotta.
I've questioned that.
I don't give a fuck. It's my podcast. I'm gonna say what the fuck.
No.
You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, we're friends, right? So somebody come in, somebody, she's fucking everybody.
I've questioned that my whole life.
Okay.
I have.
Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Does it look like you?
Oh, shit. I don't think he does. My current wife's here, and she'll tell you that we've had him out here with us before, and we were going to pay to do a DNA test, but at this point,
it's like,
I was like, I've raised him his whole life. I don't want to know now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you don't want him to know. You don't want him to know. He's my son. You accepted it. You're a fucking good man.
So then I come back to the States.
I was on me, man. I'm like, nah, man. From the beginning, take that child. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, man.
We came back to the States, and then I got stationed, like I said, at Camp Lejeune, and she stayed in Sharon for a while, and I came home one time, and then she got pregnant again. I know that one's definitely mine. So I have two.
How do you know that one is definitely yours?
The time frame.
Okay,
the time frame.
Okay, good.
The time frame.
And this one looks like you too.
Yeah.
Okay,
He definitely looks like me.
Okay, cool.
Blonde hair, light colored eyes.
okay,
Like
cool,
he looks like me. But now neither one of them live with me anymore. They because she remarried an old friend of mine from the Marine Corps that she was obviously messing around with when I was stationed at California. And she moved back to North, but now those two are not together anymore either.
Well, you know what, man? If their foundation was based on that, you know, here's the way I look at things. If a woman is cheating on somebody with you,
she's gonna do it again.
What the fuck you think she's gonna do to you?
Yep.
You think you're special? You know, so if your old friend thought he was special, first of all, he's not a friend anyway, man. You know, there's 5 billion other fucking women in the world.
You learn that out real quick.
Yeah, you don't learn that. But he thought that he got, man, get out of here. Okay, yeah, I could have told you that.
So we got divorced. Yeah. Whatever. We stayed married for a long time, but we got 8 years. We were married 8 years. But it was because I was deployed all the time. When I was around, we would fight. We were like oil
if you were
and water.
Together all the time, you don't last a year and a half. Mm-hmm.
So I met my current wife, Tasha.
She's a sweetheart. You know, but I know her. I know she goes to one of our camps. A little bit that I met her, and she rides Harley with you, man. That's fucking badass, yes, bro.
But so we met, and then we decided to get married as soon as my divorce was final. We used to go snowboarding 2-3 times a week together. She lived in Costa Mesa when I met her. I met her at a nightclub called Gotham's. It used to be in San Bernardino.
Okay.
The night I came back from Okinawa, I went out with a bunch of friends.
You didn't waste no time.
I didn't. But we were just friends.
Yeah.
We were just friends. We'd go party and snowboard and hang out and we were friends.
Friends.
Yeah. No, serious. That was it.
You never, come on, you didn't sleep with her?
No, not until after we started dating.
Oh, okay. For real though?
For real.
Okay.
And then we got married, and then so I'm getting to the combat situation now. We got married. She's a military brat. Her dad's 28 years in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. She actually was in Okinawa in high school.
Wow. When
I was stationed there.
Because of her dad.
Because of her dad. Yep. And then, so we got married, and so I didn't go to Egypt because of the divorce and my dad being real sick, right? Mm-hmm. I got asked to go to work with the military police on 29 Palms while the unit was gone. So I wound up going there and embraced it. Got on the SWAT team in the military police, competed in SWAT competitions, was a watch commander, so I was the head guy on watch. 9/11 happens. They say you'll never forget where you're at when 9/11 happens.
Dude, I know exactly where I was at.
I was on base. I was the on-duty watch commander. I had just got done checking my gate sentries to make sure everybody's okay. I was driving through base housing, just listening, checking on the base housing, because it was like 5:30 in the morning our time. And I had the radio on in my unit, and Rick Dees in the Morning was on, the only channel you could get. And that guy's always made some bad jokes, right?
Yeah.
And I hear, oh my God, a plane just hit the World Trade Center.
That's exactly what I thought.
And I was like, no, this is a sick joke, Rick Dees. And I changed to up in 21 Palms. You can only get 2 radio.
Same thing.
Right?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I changed.
Same exact thing.
Changed stations. Didn't hear nothing on this other station. So I flipped back, and now there was a real reporter on. Oh my God, a second plane now has hit the other World Trade Tower. And back then, nobody had cell phones. At least not in the Marine Corps. We didn't have the money to have a cell phone. But our unit radios, or CBs, you could use as a patch phone and dial numbers and call. So we have what's called a desk officer that sits in the front office. And it just Sergeant Hallenbeck, turn the news on and let me know what's going on right now. Oh my God, Sergeant, Pentagon got hit, the World Trade Center. And where your kids are back in Pennsylvania, a plane went down close, it was close to where we grew up. Wasn't far from where we grew up. So I had to make a decision at that point. I shut the base down. I was the senior enlisted in charge of the security of that base and all the Marines and families that were on 20 Palms at the time. I shut the side gates down, shut the front gate to where it was 100% ID check on and off the base, 1 lane each way. I told my desk officer to call some infantry units and get some machine gun bunkers set up at the front gate. We have ammo supply point. I said, we need more sentries out there.
You was ready.
We didn't know what was going on.
You're ready from ship to go down.
So we're ready for war, right? I get everything done. taken care of. We survived. Then we go on, stay on. And I was living in the barracks at the time because I lost my base housing and my family had left and wasn't married to Natasha yet. Living in the barracks as a sergeant and didn't have cable, I had internet, AOL dial-up, right? The old dial-up. But I had a phone in my room and 8 days after 9/11 happened, my dad had called me. Hey son, how you doing? I'm doing good, Dad. How are you doing? First time he ever sounded sick, and the whole time he had cancer. Could hear the fluid in his lungs, and
You know that was the beginning of the end, right?
and he said, hey son, I'm not going to be around much longer. I want to see you one last time. Hardest thing I ever had to do. Hey Dad, you were in Vietnam in the Navy. I can't come to Florida. I'm working with the military police right now, and you know what's going on in the world. This was 8 days after. And he said, I understand, son. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. 2 days later, I happened to go in my room to grab some lunch and
Get the news.
checked my voicemails on my phone, and my mom called and said Dad passed away. So 10 days after 9/11, my dad passed away. So I went back to the station, turned my pistol in, went to my master sergeant and said, hey, I have to go home. I have to go to Florida. My dad died. And my master sergeant called Red Cross, got me a round trip ticket from LAX to Tampa, and I went home for the funeral and came back, went about my business, grieving obviously. And me and Tasha were friends then. Then we decided to start dating, and then wound up getting married. We got married the year to the day my dad died. So September 21st, 2002, we got married. He died September 21st, 2001. So it's a good day and a bad day.
Yeah.
And then I got staff sergeant shortly after that and got sent back to my infantry unit. I'd done 2 years with PMO. And I was scheduled to get out of the Marine Corps in May. So I checked in back in the LAR. They're like, you got to go to 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. They need staff NCO, so you got to go over there. Now I'm an E6. I'm a platoon sergeant. I check in with 3-7, and they were scheduled to go to Okinawa for a 6-month deployment starting in January, coming back in June.
You're like, I don't want to do that.
And I said, well, my EAS is in May. I can't go to Okie with you guys. And the first sergeant started giving me a hard time. And I said, you know what, first sergeant? And in the meantime, I had already applied with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department.
Yep.
And passed the test, did the physical agilities, was in the backgrounds to come to the Sheriff's Department because I knew I was getting out of the Marine Corps. But I did go to that first sergeant and I said, you know what, I'll extend my contract till July and I'll go to Okinawa with you guys. And he was happy for it, okay. And so in between that, and I hadn't put my extension in yet, then the whole Iraq thing started. So this was at the end of 2002. Being in the infantry battalion, we got stood up to go to Iraq. Mm-hmm. January we left, and President enacted stop loss. So I was not allowed to get out of the military until they lifted the Stop Loss Act. The president can do that. He can say no exiting the military. You're not allowed to get out.
I had no idea he could do that.
He did that. So in January we went to Kuwait, and we staged, I want to say 30, 40 miles south of the Iraq border in Kuwait, right along that Highway 1 that they used to call the Death Highway from the first Gulf War.
I remember seeing pictures of that on TV.
Yes, sir.
It looked like, somebody lit that shit up.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it looked like people's skeletons were in that.
There was in the first one.
Yeah,
in the first one.
I remember.
So we staged there. We built up the camp, and we called it LSA 7. And then there was other camps south, closer to Kuwait City and Doha and all that. We were the furthest north camp. Then come March, so we just trained, shooting, training. Being a platoon sergeant, I got to see drone footage of Iraq, where the enemy units were and what's going on. Then in March, we moved up to the berm, to the border.
I think Iraq was the first time they actually used drones.
It was. For combat.
Yeah, for combat. Yeah.
We'd been using them and practicing with them and training, but never had the chance to use them. So we move up to the berm in March. that first night before we went in, and we were catching some mortar fire from the town over at us, and we had artillery battalions shooting into the first town that we were going to take down was Safwan. It's south of Basra, and so that next morning and that night before we crossed, that night we staged, we got word the Medina Division was coming to reinforce the southern units of Iraq. Medina Division was supposedly Saddam's strongest tank unit.
I remember seeing that in the news.
And they had T-70s,
Yes.
T-70,
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
T-62s, T-70, all the way to T-80Us.
Isn't that? What are you saying? Didn't they have the Russians? The
All Russian armor.
All Russian
All
armor.
Russian
yeah,
armor.
Yeah. They're like the rivals of what A1A1s. Remember?
Yes.
See,
The T-80U would have been the
rivals
comparison.
For yes,
of
I remember. Yep.
So, and again, now I'm platoon sergeant for a brand new missile system in the military. It's an anti-tank missile, shoulder-fired, man-portable. It's called the Javelin. So I was now in charge of the Javelin platoon. So when I got told that the Medina Division, I had to rally my guys and explain to them what's going on. And
We're against some shit right now.
we might be into a tank battle. So, and we had our battalion reinforced. We had a company of tankers with us, the Abrams, the M1A1s, Delta Company tanks from 29 Palms. Like I said, we were taking fire over the berm that first night. We had Cobra support, which is the Marine Corps attack helicopters. We had tanks, we had my unit, and the Cobras were flying sorties. They got the word about the Medina Division coming down. Now, being an anti-tanker, we train with thermal sights and regular sights to be able to identify enemy tanks through looking at them through thermal sights. This Cobra pilot gunner mistaked one of our Abrams for an enemy tank, fired a Hellfire, blew up our own tank. Everybody escaped out. It was okay. Nobody got hurt.
Like friendly fire, huh?
Friendly fire. But nobody got hurt. Lost the tank, but nobody got hurt. So now the next morning, broad daylight, like 9 o'clock in the morning from what I remember, we're crossing over the cut to go into Safwan. When we crossed, it was an Abrams, a Humvee with a 50 cal, a Humvee with a tow, and then my Javelin vehicle, which was a non-armored, soft-shelled Humvee with a platoon sergeant, me, staff sergeant driving. I had a lance corporal. They didn't even give me a radio mount. Like, they gave me, here's an extra Humvee so you guys can get around. No radio mount. So I had a lance corporal with his ear to the radio, listening what's going on the net. And I had a gunner in the back, a Javelin gunner with 14 Javelin missiles. Fifth vehicle to cross in the day we go in. At the border, we had a PSYOPs blasting in Arabic, whatever commands he was. I didn't really get to learn a lot while I was over there.
All right, so I'm getting anxious, man. I want to get what happened, man. I'm building up. So tell me what happened.
So we're crossing, right? Like I said, 2 tanks, 2 Humvees, and then my Humvee. We hear coming across the radio. There's blue anti-tank mines on the hardball, on the pavement. Blue to Americans are dummy mines, training mines, right? So we're like, oh, well, they're just trying to scare us. The first tank runs one over, nothing happens. The second tank hits the next one, and it explodes, blows his track off. So now we have a battalion reinforced, choked up, can't move at the line of departure, which would have been an on-call target for the Iraqi artillery. Mattis sent us in 3 air day plus 3. We didn't do a 30-day air war, so that saved our life. They were dug in still thinking we were going to do a 30-day air war. We called in, we did what's called a line charge. It's a MICLIC, mine clearing line charge. It's on the back of an Amtrak, which is an amphibious tank. Shoots up this rocket with a rope attached, and it has C4 all the way down. And it lays over the mines, explodes, blows all the mines up. So now we're able to push in. So we start pushing through Safwan. No resistance, seeing civilians out, seeing a lot of blown up structures, a lot of damage, seeing dead bodies from our artillery and whatnot. And we knew we were going to have to go up against, I want to say, the 51st Mechanized Infantry and the 52nd or 53rd Infantry closer to Basra, because our objective was to get to Basra. Got in a couple firefights that first day en route to Basra. Then we secured Basra, waiting for the British to relieve us in Basra so we could start leapfrogging with the other infantry units on the way to Baghdad, right, through all the towns. All the ones you hear, the Fallujahs, all the big towns, right, Ramadis. So that night, so the British came, relieved us in Basra. That night we got tasked, they pulled our tank support from us, and we got tasked with going, so Cap platoon reinforced with Javelin platoon, to go secure this dam. Only 2 ways across that river was this big superhighway and a dam. And it was out on a peninsula. So we went and started pushing, and it's dark now. And we were always told that the Iraqis stay indoors at night. They don't come out, they don't wander about, they stay inside. We were pushing up, so it was a Cat team, so a 50 cal and then a tow, and then my Javelin Humvee, and then more Cat teams behind us. And we're pushing up the road through Basra. And we've been hearing small arms fire off the left to the right, to the left to the right. Nothing big, seeing muzzle flashes. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the road, a T-55 Russian tank kicks on its searchlight. Boom, right, with the barrel pointed at us.
Holy shit.
Kicks it on. Luckily, that tow gunner was paying attention, which is the anti-tank missile guy, right? Gets his gun up, blows that tank up. But it was also a signal, and we got lit up from both sides of the road. We were getting shot both sides of the road. They were lighting us up. I remember jumping out of my Humvee, and it's dark. I don't have night vision scope on my rifle and my M16, and I'm just shooting where I see muzzle flashes, right? Went through like 3 magazines before I even realized. And then we decided to pull back because we still didn't know what was ahead of us. We pulled back, and then we got tank support again. That next morning with daybreak, we went out, and it was like a turkey shoot for them tanks. We were seeing things that we didn't realize were there. Armored vehicles all along the roadways, and the tanks are just blowing everything up. We get to the dam, and we secured the dam, and then wound up nothing. The Medina division never came down. So then we started leapfrogging, and made it all the way to Baghdad. I did at one point jump on a sniper rifle. I'm not proud, but not unproud of it. Have 12 confirmed kills with a sniper rifle over there.
Hey, you know what, man? You know, you're at war. You know, you got to do. You know, I mean, that's. You know, I mean, you got to. Is kill or be killed, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what you got to. That's what you're there for, man. You know what I mean? It's that, and that's why it's so noble. Like men and women of the Army, Navy, and the Marines, man. They go through so much. You see that kind of stuff, man. It's weird. They come back, and now they see everybody else. This is not the real world. Mm-hmm. That's the real world.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you know what I mean? And people here, we live in a la la land because you guys are out in the real world protecting us.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And and it's weird when they come back. It's almost like, looking at everybody. I'm like, wow, what they don't really know what the hell is going on in the world. You know what I mean? Is that how you felt when you get back? When you finally got back?
Well, it was weird when I got back. Like, they lifted stop loss. We were in Baghdad, and my unit was one of the 3 Marine Corps infantry units that got tasked with stabilization, and we got sent to Karbala, which was a good town to be in, because all the uprisings in Iraq have always started in Karbala. Yeah. They've always been against Saddam and everything. Excuse me again. And so we were there, and I wound up turning my platoon over because I was coming home. I left my unit. Mind you, I'm in the middle of Iraq now with no weapons. They took all my serialized gear from me, so I have no way to protect myself over. And I got on a bus and went to Diwania, Iraq, to where the division headquarters was. General Mattis was there. Stayed there for a couple days. Ran into some other Marine buddies of mine that I had thought had got blown up. I knew what track he was in, pushing up. He was in 3-4, and he was a staff sergeant. And they got hit. A track got hit by artillery, and it was his track, but they were out of it. The only people that got killed, and that were the Amtrak crew. But I had thought that Staff Sergeant Ed Ackley had died over there, right? And I ran into him, and he thought I had got killed. Big hugs. It was a good reunion.
So you guys were, got really happy seeing each other.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me, so you finally got back to the United States.
Yes.
So you finally got back to the United States, and then by this time, I'm assuming that the sheriff's department called you and said, well,
I had to finish everything. So because I'm pushing over there, I didn't go through the psych exam, the polygraph, and I had to rerun my physical agility test.
So you had to go through a psych exam?
Psych with a doctor and fill out a questionnaire. And
I could have told him you're fucked up.
Man. Yeah.
I could have told him that, man. You're from Sharon?
And then passed the polygraph test, and then I was still in the Marine Corps waiting to get separated fully. I finally separated in July of 2003.
And when did you get hired at the sheriff's department?
I went to the academy in October of 2003. And as a recruit in the academy, I was already hired. So my job was to pass the academy.
Yeah, that's it.
To make it through and pass the academy. And it was like Marine Corps boot camp again, real stress academy, doing a lot of push-ups every day, mountain climbers, all the fun things, right? Running, doing PT every day, learning ground fighting and defensive tactics, and learning laws and vehicle operation with the emergency vehicles, and just it's a lot of stuff to take in real fast in a short amount of time. But it prepares you for being on the streets. And so I made it through that, got assigned to the courthouse downtown Riverside. Hall of Justice.
Very familiar with that, man. I went to the divorce court there.
At the Family Law Center there, yes.
Don't remind me of that crap.
So I worked at the courthouse for a little over 2 years, was a training officer at the courthouse for new deps coming in. And then I got assigned to Moreno Valley. I went through the field training program, completed that, passed that, was on my own. And did about 2 years on patrol. Became a field training officer, so training new deputies how to work the streets, and then a motorcycle officer position came open.
That's what you're into. Ever since I know you've been a motorcycle, you know what I mean? So okay, really quick, man. So you got into the motorcycle thing. How long did you do the motorcycle thing?
In Moreno Valley, I did it for 8 years.
It's funny, man. It's like I said, we knew of each other. We live close by, but in California, everybody's going 100 miles an hour. We never hook up, and we just talk over the internet and all that kind of stuff. I remember, what was it? 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
It had to been 2015 or 16.
Yeah, 2015 or 16. I was late picking up my daughters. And that's what I was like going through. Divorce.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, I didn't want to be late. Wife, ex-wife would be bitching. Oh, you're late 5 minutes. So I was getting off work. I was speeding to get my daughters, and then all of a sudden, I get pulled over by a motorcycle cop. And I'm like, oh God, this is all I need. I had a bad day. And it was you. You know what I mean? You came up to me and go, hey Sam. I'm like, oh my God. It was like. It was so crazy, man. To reunite with you and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for giving me a verbal warning, and then I take it. I really appreciate that.
See, motor officers do have a heart, whether people believe it or not.
Yeah, man. Man. Honestly, my experience in Sharon, Pennsylvania, with the cops back then was really bad. So I had this negative stereotype of that. Maybe I was just trying to be a wankster back then, and I was like a little idiot kid. But now, if I have if I, get pulled over for speeding, or say, have all my cars have tinted windows. If I get over, they're really nice, man. All the CHP and all that kind of stuff,
Yes, sir.
And the thing I noticed, where we're from, Pennsylvania. If the speed limit is 65, you do 67, you get pulled over.
Yeah. I
remember when I drove my car to first come to California. I'm doing 65, and it says speed 65, and people are flipping me off. They're like, get out the way. We were doing like 85, 90, and we were like, 85, 90 in Pennsylvania will get you arrested.
Yes, sir.
And here the law is, as long as you just have to flow, keep with the flow of the traffic, and that. So I know, let's talk about something, and I don't want to put you in a position like that, but for me, this podcast is about helping others overcome. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I know that, you struggled with drinking all your life. You know what I mean? Tell me where that started, and tell me some of the consequences that has had in your life, and tell me how now you're able to become sober. You know what I mean? And how and what helped you that, because look, we all have our demons. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? I just told people like in my bodybuilding career, I did steroids. I've been arrested. I've been divorced. I've been bankrupt. My house has been foreclosed on.
Yes, sir.
I'm an open book, man. It is what it is, right?
Yes, sir.
And so if alcohol is the only thing that you battle with, you're a better man than I am, right? so tell me where that started, and tell me some of the things that anything that can inspire others that are going through maybe alcoholism or addiction and like that. What did that do to you, and how can you, from your perspective, help someone that's listening?
So, alcohol is definitely the most abused drug in the world. That and caffeine, I guess. Like me and Sam already said, we drank before we were 21 in high school.
We were 16 driving around.
Yeah.
We should get back when you're 16. I mean, that's what we did to try to be cool, right?
That was the fit in.
And from where we come from, there ain't shit to do.
Yep. And our class didn't have a bunch of drug addicts. We had a bunch of guys that drank. Nobody smoked marijuana. Nobody
only
did,
a few.
a few, but nobody did acid or
there was one guy that was addicted to painkillers. Larry, he was at Hawaii.
Abenosa. He only lives right in Phoenix.
Does he?
Yes.
Yeah, Larry Abenosa was addicted to painkillers. I remember he used to drink and take Vicodin and all that kind of stuff and come to football games. I almost was fearing his life.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Okay, so go ahead.
So, I drank a lot back then when I was younger, just beer, nothing hard. Then I went in the Marine Corps and drank a lot, everywhere you went. Any country you went to, we got to find the coolest bars and you go get drunk.
And that's
you
what
pass
Marines
the time.
do.
That's what
the
you
Marines do. You know what I mean?
Marine Corps was founded in a bar in Tun Tavern, Pennsylvania, and that's what Marines do. So then come back from the war. I wouldn't say I had a drinking problem. My problem was if I had one or two beers, I wanted to drink all night.
You went all out.
I wanted to drink all night.
I'm the same way. That was how I started. I might as well keep going, right?
Yep. And that was my issue with drinking. And then I got diagnosed with PTSD, with depression, anxiety, and it got the best of me. Along with that comes anger issues. Yep. And you fly off the handle real fast.
So tell me, we all know what PTSD and all that kind of stuff is, and and we know how severity that is, man. And all that kind of stuff. Because I can't imagine, what you guys have gone through in war. I cannot imagine. I mean, you guys have literally people have PTSD from their dad died.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I've seen it. But you guys see people get blown up and get shot at, and I can't imagine. So tell me something we know the symptoms. How's the anger issue and all that kind of come through? Because are you just mad at the world? Is it something psychological? Is it because you're like, man, I've fucked up my life, and
no, you just don't even realize that it's happening.
That it's happening. It's just all of a sudden
it's a switch that comes on and off.
Yeah.
And being that I am in law enforcement, I think that it affects my home life more, because at work I can't fly off the handle. You have to be professional. I mean, I wouldn't have made it as long as I've made it in law enforcement if I didn't know how to control it. Yeah. But then at home it's different, and your kids set you off, your wife sets you off, and it could be the littlest things.
Yeah.
And
you'd be like, what the fuck am I flying off the handle for?
And then you drink to try and suppress that, to bring it down and to suppress your depression, and that if you've never had anxiety, you don't know that feeling. You worry about everything, you think everything's wrong, and you feel it in your body. You're tense all the time.
I think people just use anxiety these days. I get anxiety. You know what I mean? I get anxiety. Fuck you got anxiety for? You know what I mean? You got everybody has a little anxiety. Oh my God, I was late today. Or
that's daily anxiety. That's normal. That's normal.
Yeah, that's daily stress. That you actually need a little bit of stress to live.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But this is like deep down central nervous system.
Yes.
Things that is constantly there. It's like zzz, it's like that.
So it drove me to a dark place that I didn't even realize I was where I was.
And when did that start?
It got the worst maybe 3 years ago.
3 years ago. When you first pulled me over?
Probably around then. Yeah. I've always struggled with nightmares ever since coming back from the war.
I can imagine.
I'm lucky to get 3 to 4 hours solid sleep a night. Like, I don't sleep a lot. But I had moved out on Tasha. We were fighting a lot. I moved in with a friend who is a fellow law enforcement officer from Downey PD, who became a motor officer too. And he let me live with him. And he's got some PTSD from the job. Mm-hmm. He's had 3 OISs and he's a young man. He's in his early 30s now. So he's
What
had
is it, OIS?
Officer involved shooting.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then 2 years ago, he lost his best friend at work. Was taken out by some gang members in front of the Downey police station. Damn. One of his best friends. So he's got a little head noise. He's doing really well now, but he liked to drink as well.
So you guys, okay. So let you know, and I don't want to be insensitive. So 2 fucked up people move together.
Yeah.
And they both like to drink.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, bro.
Yeah. And we were putting away 2 fifths of Tito's vodka a night.
God.
And then we'd go out and hit the bars. And
Tasha put up with your shit, man.
I don't know why she's still with me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's a good woman. Tasha put up with some shit.
Yep.
Because I'll tell you right now, most women be like, well, out.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I had started going to PTSD counseling through the Corona Vet Center. And then I quit. I quit going. And that's when I moved out and like.
That was the beginning of the end, right?
Yeah. And then, so I moved out, and then me and Tasha still hung out. We still did some things together, still rode our Harleys together, still just, we weren't true husband and wife at that point, you know. Then last year, I was back and forth between home and the condo. And I went out in June, and no intentions of drinking. I remember telling Tasha, I said, hey, I'm going to go down to Cook's Corner. I'm going to go hang out with some
Cook's
friends.
Corner. I know
Cook's
exactly
Corner.
where it's at, man. Let me tell you what I did one time. When I did have, motorcycle, I broke my crotch rocket.
Yep.
I go to Cook's Corner. I thought I was going to get jumped. Because that's like a Harley bar.
It is.
There's a Harley bar. I came in, that was like in my bodybuilding days. I came in all shredded, cut up, this and that. I pull up to, Cook's Corner like this. I see all these cars. There's no crotch rocket in sight. I swear to God, the whole bar was like, look at me. And I'm like all cut up in a tank top. And all these biker gang guys, man, the big old beard. I'm looking at them like, what's this? Fruitcake. You know what I mean? And then
but don't get me wrong, Sam. I've owned 6 Ducatis. I used to road race for Ducati. I raced supermotos. I've owned a Husqvarna supermoto. I've raced dirt bikes. So I've been into sport bikes too. The Harley thing has come about later in life.
Yeah, but when you go to a Harley bar.
Yep, they look at you.
Yeah. And I walked in there with a couple of my friends who had Harleys, and I swear to God, I was getting mad dog like crazy. And here's what's the worst. Everybody the bikers. They're eating bacon and cheeseburgers and French fries, and they're drinking. And I went to over the corner. I'm like, do you have a chicken salad? I swear to God, man. I was like, they were looking at me like, who the fuck is this fool? Coming in there. Thank God, I made a lot because Cook's Corner, middle of nowhere. If shit jumps off, man. By the time cops get there,
you're done. You're done,
dead, right?
Yep.
Okay, so go ahead.
So I went there. It was for the Born Free pre-party, and I know a lot of people in the chopper community. I've been helping at a store in Rancho called Spitfire Motorcycles, and he's been teaching me how to build and work on custom choppers, and I'm actually building my own custom chopper.
You gotta build me one, bro. You know what? I can't. My wife's like it.
Your wife probably wouldn't like it.
I'm not even gonna.
We'll just do one, and then me and you'll go riding with nobody knows.
Yeah. No cell phone.
So I don't remember what happened. I don't remember leaving Cook's Corner that night.
So you had a few drinks.
Somebody obviously gave me a drink, and then it turned into a bunch of drinks.
And you got behind.
And I rode my Harley away, and I crashed at the 91 into 55 on a Friday night at midnight time frame, and I passed away on the side of the road, and the firefighters brought me back to life.
Dude, first of all, man, the first thing that comes to my mind, right, is Aaron, I hate to be insensitive, you're a cop.
Yeah.
You're the one that putting people to jail when they do it.
Yes.
Right? And now you're out there doing this shit yourself.
Yes.
Right? You know, and because you were, you know, dealing with your demons and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I just want to tell everyone, you know, that nobody out there is perfect.
No.
Nobody's out there perfect.
And I got arrested for a DUI that night.
You got arrested for a DUI and tell me what were the consequences and how you're recovering from it.
I obviously went to the hospital, had a brain bleed, broke a bunch of ribs, messed my hands. Came home, had to deal with this DUI now, and being off of work, no duty. I couldn't go to work, so I hired an attorney, $6,500 retainer fee. What I'm trying to do is get into veterans court to make amends and pay for what I did. And I had to go through the first offender DUI classes, so which in turn made me have to go to 8 Alcohol Anonymous meetings. So I went to AA meetings and have since stayed going. You
know, you almost have to, you know, if you want to, you know, if you never have a relapse.
Yeah. And I've
so
been.
You're not 10 months, 11 months sober?
The crash happened in June and have not had a drink since then. So I am coming up on 10 months this month.
Congratulations, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. I know, I'm proud of you. You know, what are your plans now to, you know, to stay sober? What are your plans, you know, to fight that demon? Well,
I am now part of a combat only veterans organization down in Lake Elsinore. It's called Warrior Built organization. They're a 501c3. What Warrior Built does is they take warriors that have been in combat, and they help rebuild them through vocational training. We've sent amputees just this last year to race the Baja 500 on dirt bikes. Amputee from here down. We've built a dirt bike, and he has the arm, and he's raced that. We just got done racing the Mint 400 with an all combat vet crew to build the bike, to pit the bikes, to pilot the bikes. We also have a Class 11 buggy that we race in the Baja and the Mint 400. Tuesday nights down in Lake Elsinore at the Warrior Built Foundation headquarters, they have the PTSD Foundation of America. We have warrior meetings, peer-to-peer counseling on Tuesday nights. It starts at 7:30. Very powerful group, very powerful. Everybody's been through the same thing. There's guys that were last rites read to them in combat, full of shrapnel still to this day. All have battled addiction problems, alcohol problems, family problems, stemming from the PTSD.
I'm so glad that there are organizations like that to be able to help the veterans.
Yes.
You know, I know PTSD is real. I know alcoholism is real. And I know, I saw you, and then I didn't see you for a while.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, where's Aaron? You know, and I messaged you. I didn't hear from you. And then later on, you know, you messaged me a while after, and you said that, hey, man, you almost died, and you told me about this whole thing and all that kind of stuff. And Aaron, man, I mean, you know, it's been an honor and privilege to be your friend since 11th grade. You know, to see you, go through your life, to see you, serve our great country, to serve our community, and it's also a pleasure seeing you be vulnerable. Everybody, always talks about their victories. Everybody wants to talk about their victories, but they hide their losses and they hide their thing. And to me, that's a sign of weakness.
Yes, sir.
Because every single one of us, have gone through trials and tribulations, and you don't learn from your victories.
No, you learn from mistakes and yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm telling you right now, all throughout my life, I've gone. You know me. I've gone through shit.
Yes, sir.
Ever since 3 years old, and I really remember, Dad leaving me, getting bobbed and all this. I'm saying, coming to Sharon, get discriminated and bullied, and and not fitting in, and drinking in a young age, try to fit in and getting arrested, and and then later on, going to school, making it, losing it, you know,
and then building back. Yeah.
You know, that's what how life is, man. I'm really, really proud of you.
But I think that some of us have that will to survive and that drive in us.
You know, I don't know how you can't.
You have to.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how you can't.
To be successful in any job that you are in, you should always want to better yourself every day. And don't be better than another person. Be better than the person you were the day before.
You know, look, here's what I always tell people, Aaron. As humans, we're at the top of the food chain.
Yes.
Right? Are we the strongest species?
I would say yes.
No, but I mean physically, can you beat an elephant? You can't.
Oh, no.
We're not the strongest of the species.
The only reason that we're better is
exactly
the mind.
Exactly, right? We're not stronger. We're not faster, right? But we have one ability. We have this, right?
Yes.
And with that, we can have critical thinking to say, look, I want to get up and I want to be better. I want to be able to improve. I want to be able to transform. We can evolve faster because in this world, if you don't evolve fast enough, you're gonna perish.
The world's gonna run you over.
Dinosaurs couldn't evolve. Things go extinct. Even in business, Blockbuster couldn't evolve.
Right.
They go extinct. So we have the ability to evolve. So here's what I don't understand, because I was talking to you about it earlier before we started on this podcast. Is that I went back home for my 25th year. You're reading back to Sharon, Pennsylvania. And I don't want to come off as like I'm this and I'm that. I'm not.
But it was amazing because you did get to go back and speak at the school, right?
Yes, do you know I have my own scholarship there now?
Oh, okay,
It's called
okay.
Back to our Relentless Scholarship.
Nice.
The principal is somebody who we went to high school with.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's the principal?
Gosh, man, Mr. Mike. I have it on my phone.
Okay.
I have it on my phone.
After this, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So when I went back, Aaron, I went back to that depressed town, and I ran to some of our friends that are still hanging out with the same people, going to the same spots, having the same job, and some of them driving the same car. And so one person came and told me, Sam, do you have your MR2?
Oh, I remember that thing too. Yeah.
And I was like, what is MR2? I don't remember what is an MR2. Your car. I totally forgot that I had
that little Toyota MR2.
Toyota MR2, right? And to me, if you don't use your God-given ability to better yourself every day, whether it is emotionally, whether it is spiritually, whether it's financially, whether it's relationally, then you are disrespecting God. You know what I mean? Because God has given it to you for a reason.
He's given you a power.
A gift.
And
You know what I mean? And I appreciate the fact that you're using that. You're here.
And I before my crash, I believed in God. I maybe didn't go to church, maybe didn't do.
You don't have to go to church
but,
to believe in God.
But I will say that to this day now, he did that to me. He said, "Wake up, Aaron. You're 46 years old. You need to wake up."
Yeah.
And he protected me in that crash. Yeah. I walked away. When I went down, I was going, from what I was told, over 90 miles an hour. And I have no road rash, no visible scars at all.
That's, you know what I mean?
And I had a t-shirt and jeans on.
Bro, I don't know. God was like, you know what? Exactly. Wake up. And as of that, you become a better man. I always tell people this. There's many times in my life where I questioned, was like, God, why are you doing this? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But just like you do to your kid, we're children's. We're God's children, right?
Yep.
Just like you know the best for your kid. Like, hey, kid, you need to do this. You need to do this. You push your kid to do something because it's for the best for them.
Yes, sir.
And they resist, but later on they understand that you had their back. God is doing the same thing for us. He's like, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And that was your little slap in the hand.
Yep.
Hey, man, wake up.
And he brought me back to my family and my kids and back into my counseling to get my head back normal. And not that it wasn't normal, or, well, I did grow up in Sharon, so it's always been not normal.
What? You're fucked up. Everybody fucked up. But you know what? It's the fact that we can admit it, we can talk about it, and all that. I want to go over something really quick. All right, Aaron. So now I want you to focus. Let's focus on these pictures.
Yes, sir.
So that's you. That's your bike you just showed me.
Well, I thank you guys for making that amazing picture and making me look cooler than I am.
Dude, that's a badass bike, man. Tell me about that bike.
That's a 2017 Harley Davidson Street Bob that I've obviously modified. I put 2-inch overs on the front, 14-inch rear shocks, a new Bassani exhaust system. Had a friend of mine, he's a professional painter. He painted the flames for me. Did new front fender, it's a rust RWD Designs. RWD Designs fairing. Has a stereo installed in there.
Badass stereo, man. That's what I like about that.
Yes, sir.
You showed me that earlier. Badass, man. Badass. And I know your wife has a newer model.
She has the 2018 Street Bob.
I saw that.
And I put a lot of miles on it. That's actually the bike I crashed on. The insurance company didn't total it, and I rebuilt it to look like this.
That's beautiful, man. All right,
Thank you, sir.
Tell me about this.
That's from boot camp.
Look how skinny you were.
That was in.
That's the Aaron that I know.
Yes, sir. That was probably January of 1994 after I had enlisted and went down to Paris Island.
That handsome guy right there, man. Look at those eyes, right? Okay. Tell me about him.
Oh, this is, so I was the Eastville motor for a while, and this is my son's class. I want to say it was 6th grade, 5th or 6th grade.
So you were talking to his class?
I was doing a presentation for the class.
Awesome, man. Don't the kids love you when you go in there, they look you in the uniform?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Perfect. All right, and this is you on
So that's how it looked when I crashed. The one on the far right.
Got it.
That's how the bike looked in the same bike. So that's the new model.
shoot, the crash did you and the bike some good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's my Simpson helmet, obviously. That's the one I crashed in. I really damaged that helmet pretty bad. It broke open, cracked it. So then I bought the new model.
You know, where we're from. I don't know, in Ohio, there's a seatbelt law, but there's not a helmet law.
No helmet law.
How the hell? I just don't get it.
I've been to states, obviously, riding through almost every state in the United States that don't have helmet laws, and I always wear my helmet.
Yeah, I'm going to think like, dude, like, this is like
It's your life.
I mean, you can do 30 miles an hour and crash and
Die. Yes, sir.
So.
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell me about this.
This
is you?
So I was the very first ever Eastville motor. Eastville hasn't been a city that long. They wanted a motor team. So that was the night that we presented me to the city hall, to the city council members and the mayor. And they did a whole newspaper article on me in the Press Enterprise.
Nice.
The hometown hero, because I live in Eastville and I was the first Eastville motor. And that's pictures from the Press Enterprise.
So let me ask you, let's talk about bikes for a second, because that's a BMW bike.
Yes, sir.
Right? And I know some police stations, they use Honda, some of them have Harleys. Out of all the bikes for you to do, what you do for the police, have you driven all of them? Or
Well, when I started, I was on the old school KZ 1000s. That's what I did.
Kawasaki?
The old Kawasaki's, like you used to see on the Chips TV show.
Yeah.
I started on one of those. Did my pre-training, my training, went through motor school on that. Once I graduated motor school, I got at the time, the newest BMW was an RT 1150.
Okay.
It was the most horrible bike I've ever ridden.
Oh, really?
Hated the dry clutch, hated the suspension, hated everything about it. But I was given a free bike to ride, and I'm gonna ride it.
Right, yeah.
Then we upgraded into the Honda ST 1300s. Fell in love with that bike. Went through 2 of those at work. Did put 90,000 miles on one, and then the next one was another brand new one, and I about 40,000 miles before I left the team. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the newest BMW RTs. Night and day difference. This bike is the best police bike I've ever ridden.
Okay, so BMW stepped up their game. Also.
They stepped up their game.
Got it. Okay.
This bike is amazing.
I know BMW makes some amazing cars.
They do.
And I don't know how to do bikes. So obviously, at first they weren't doing so well.
Their motorcycles are amazing.
Yeah.
They really are. They've come a long way.
Awesome. Well, they have to. So tell me on the picture on the left.
That's my oldest son. He's the picture in the middle and the left. Mm-hmm. This was the day he graduated from University of Redlands College.
Awesome. Does he live locally now?
He's in Huntington Beach.
Awesome.
He's 24. He was a pre-med biology major, minor in psychology, president of his fraternity, played baseball for the university his freshman year, did a semester abroad. That's his fraternity. I'm his stepdad, but I've raised him since he was 5 years old. He asked me to go to the father-son breakfast at his fraternity that morning. Mind you, we had a fight, and I threw him out when he was 18 years old. but yet to this day, we're still best friends.
Dude, you know what, man? Sometimes, you know, as a parent, you have to do the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Even though it's the hard thing.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I know I've done that with, you know, my cousin before. You know, and it ended up being the best thing, and he knows that, he recognizes that. Tell me, who is this beautiful little baby girl?
That's my baby girl, Madison.
You know what? That's you.
That's what everybody says. She looks just like me.
Look at her eyes, man. She has light eyes. That's you. What a beautiful.
That's at a father-daughter dance.
Oh my God.
She's the youngest. We have 4 boys and 1 girl. She's the baby, and she's the toughest out of all of them. I taught her how to ride a dirt bike at 2 years old.
Oh my God, man.
And she'll go and put miles on my Harley with me. She's done 350-mile days with me.
That is so. She's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful girl, man. You're a blessed man. God has blessed you.
Thank you, Sam.
You have served our country. You have served our community. You have overcome so much. You're a blessed family, man. Now you're doing what you love to do. You know, you have an amazing, supportive wife.
Yes, sir.
You're a true 1%er, Aaron. And like I said, it's an honor and privilege for me to know you for all these years and be able to call you my friend. And we keep saying that, man, but I want you to stay in more contact with me.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I know I'm busy and all that, but actually we should just make more time.
We have to. And I'm going to tell you, I know we're getting ready to end this. We're going to have to do an update in 8 years because I'm retiring in 4. I'm going to go to Motorcycle Mechanic Institute to get my certification so I can legally work on bikes. And my young daughter, she'll be graduating high school then. We're going to move to Texas, and she wants to go to University of Texas in Austin. She wants us to open a restaurant, and I'm going to open a motorcycle shop. So our dream is to make a destination place. People are going to want to ride their motorcycles there and hang out. So I'm not going to stop when I retire. I'm going to keep pushing.
You're going to live the American dream.
Yes, sir.
You're going to do what you want to do, and that's what the American dream is. Because if you love what you do, then you're not working at all. You just love what it is. Everybody's like, Sam, you work all the time. You're running around. So when are you going to stop? I'm like, I don't feel like I'm running around. You know, this is what I love to do. You know, ever since I was, 11, I like working out.
Yes, sir.
11, 16, I was like, I like working out. Like, this is what I love to do. You know what I mean? So
if you love what you're doing, it's not work.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, it's an honor and pleasure.
It was my privilege to be here with you today.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron Hallenbeck. It's going to come out. We can't wait to this episode. God bless you, my brother.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.